Minimalism is not about the aesthetics. While it may be true for the architecture, it's quite different when it comes to the lifestyle. Your lifestyle doesn't have to look a certain way to be considered minimalism. You can wear monochrome clothing or be very bright, and you can have a messy apartment or a very clean and minimal in architecture meaning apartment, and there is no wrong way of doing minimalism visually. It doesn't matter how it looks like. What does matter is how intentional you are with things that you bring into your life. Which brings me to the second point. Minimalism is not about how many things you have, but what role they play in your life. I used to fall the victim to the stereotype that minimalists live in empty apartments surrounded by nothing. And turns out you get to keep your things, at least the important ones. Minimalism is not about counting how many spoons you have in your house, but about how intentional you are with things and people that you bring into your life. Minimalism is never about giving up comfort. The only thing that it does, it teaches you to live a meaningful life. People are more likely to follow your lead if you don't push them. You may want some of your friends to try minimalism, and it's totally okay. But please remember that if you want your social circle to be open to new things, you have to make sure that you are not pushing anything on them. Nothing that you force into people is gonna work, including minimalism. So if you live with a partner who's not a minimalist, be patient, set an example, don't push them. It doesn't necessarily mean that they will love minimalism if you do that, but the chances would be higher if you lead people by example rather than forcing new habits onto them. People will tease you a lot. Once you announce your affair with minimalism and tell the whole world, there will be lashback, whether it's going to be coming from your family or your colleagues or your friends. This is something that is very likely to happen. A few years ago, I gave a small lecture about minimalism to my friends, and since then, they never lost a chance to tease me on how I travel or things that I buy. If I ever dare to travel with more than one backpack, somebody will absolutely make a comment on it. And it's fine because it never comes from a bad place. And if you sense some friction, you might just want to explain why you're doing this and why you choose to live the way you live. And going back to the previous point, we're not forcing, we're just educating, and we're just sharing our experience and try to be respectful of everyone. But the online environment can be quite hostile. Some people on YouTube or Facebook may push their own agenda on what is proper minimalism. Don't buy into that, only you know what works for you, and don't let anyone define what is too much for you. God help me if I ever tell people I have 3 pairs of headphones. Remember, you don't have to live in a van and wear the same t-shirt every day to be a minimalist. Minimalism has the power to transform your social life. I used to think that minimalism is about a material world and how we connect to it. Turns out you can be minimal in your social circle too. When people talk about minimalism, it's usually about things, and that is totally understandable. But what I heard from a lot of people is once you get into a minimalist mindset of just asking a question, why do I need this? Or why do I need that? You may be thinking about throwing away a bag you haven't been using for 3 years. Or you ask yourself whether you still want to be friends with a person who's being hostile toward you. Turns out you're bringing this habit of decluttering your life, and you start decluttering your social circle if the person does not spark joy. Minimalists usually cut that person off. And it may be quite scary, and your social circle may just shrink 4 times. But to me personally, that was a very good thing, because right now when I'm spending time with my friends, I know for sure that I can rely on them and that they bring so much value to my life, and it's always a two-way street, and it's a blessing. It honestly is. The less time you spend with ungrateful people, the more time you can spend with people that you truly and deeply care about. These are my 5 lessons I learned in 5 years of being a minimalist. Please do let me know if you went through something similar or you had a different experience. Either way, thank you so much for staying here with me for this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye now.